Welcome. Management Information Systems, Chapter 3, Information Systems, Organizations, and Strategies. So what are our learning objectives today? We're going to feature which features of organizations do managers need to know to build and use information systems. We're going to look at how information's impacted, Porter's competitive 5 forces. I'm sure you've learned about that. What are the challenges posed? So basically what we're looking at today is how are we going to be using information systems? How does it support business theory? How does it support business goals and objectives? And that's really, no matter where we go today, you're going to look at a computer system. How does it work? What does it do for us? How do we make sure our employees have what they want when they need it? Employees, we don't want them sitting there not working. So making sure that we have a system in place is what this is all about. And part of this is understanding that management information systems is what's important. Because the management information system is what keeps the business going. The use of the computer systems. So what are we looking at? The relationship between organization and information technology. What is that structure that we need? What applications do the users need? How are we going to keep our business processes going? Are we going to have to update them? Do we look at them differently? And what do we need to do? What is political, culture, environment, management decisions? These are all the things that have to come into play when we're picking out computer systems to use for our company to make sure that they are going to help and make sure that the system is running where it needs to be. So we'll start with what's an organization. The technical definition is formal social structure that processes resources from environment to product, produce, and output. A formal legal entity with internal rules and procedures as well as a social structure. The behavioral definition, a collection of rights, privileges, obligations, and responsibilities that is dedicated to balance over a period of time through conflict and conflict resolution. Interesting. But this is what the organization is, right? We've all worked for them. We have to deal with them. But it's a company. How is it run? What does it do? But basically, it produces something, whether it's a physical item or is it like an accounting, a service. We produce something. The behavioral side, we have to work together. And that's really one of the things we have to look at. How do we get to work together so we know what's going on? What are some features of it? Accountability, adherence, routines. These are just procedures that we have to make sure we follow. When you go to work every day, you know what you need to do, and you do it. Sometimes your boss gets involved, coworkers, you have emergencies, but even with emergencies, you know what has to be done, and you make sure that it gets done the way we need it done. So what are routines, operating procedures, business processes, and business firms? We work up. What is the best practices that we need to do? How do we do it? All this should be documented somewhere. And this is what runs their business. Then we have the organization political. Unfortunately, every organization has political crap going on in it. We can't get around it, but we do our best. We need to struggle. We have competition we need to do. There's conflict involved. But basically, it does hamper the way the organization runs. And we need to keep that to a minimum as much as possible. The organizational culture. Basically, what does that do? It encompasses a set of assumptions that are defined. So if I say, what is the culture of IBM? You're going to think of blue suit, dark tie, white shirt. That's IBM's, that's their image that they have. That's their culture. If we look at Google, you're going to think of a bunch of young kids running around playing games. But this is what the culture is about. Every company has a set of cultures. And something to keep in mind, you might not fit in with the culture of the company, so you might want to look at that before you move on. So we want to keep that in mind. And we have the different environments that we have. Organizations and environments have relationships that we need to do. Some are social, some are physical, some companies are able to work from home. Some you have to show up every day. But these are just the environments that we have it. We're going to move into disruptive technologies, substitute of a product. Over to, if you think about many of the products that we use today, Amazon, Google, 15, 20 years ago, these didn't even exist. Look what's happening with the market in retail stores. They're closing down. Sears almost went bankrupt. They were saved. Toys R Us. These are well-established store companies that didn't keep up with technology, and what happened? They've gone under. And we can look at all these different things. I'm sure there's going to be case studies on them in the future. What caused them to go under? Why did they not pay attention? If you think, what is Amazon? It's just an online catalog. It's what Sears literally has been doing for the last 100 years in a book form. But technology came around. They didn't embrace it. They probably said something to the effect, this isn't going to affect us. And look what happened. Same with Toys R Us. So, disruptive technologies is when a new change comes in technology, and it changes the way we do business. We change the way we bank nowadays. We change the way we communicate. Look at your smartphone. These are all things that have changed over the years. So, how do we look at organizational structure? Well, we always start with the entrepreneur, right? They're the ones who start their business on their own. They have this great idea, and they grow it to, in this case, many times an empire. And we have the machine bureaucracy. That's where we put everything together. Divisionalized bureaucracy, professionalism, and ad hocracy. And these are all the different levels of structure that we need to deal with within every company. Every company goes through all these. Some might be extremely quick. Some go through them for years and years. It might take to get through some of these. But, basically these are the 5 different structures that we deal with. So what does the economic impact have on the world? Well, as you can see, if you remember back 2008, when we had our recession, if you want, it had a huge impact on what it's going to happen into the world and all the different businesses. We had to look at, what did IT do for us? Well, IT made us more cost efficient, allowed us to have information production that we're able to do it more cost effectively. What's the agency theory? Firm is a nexus of contracts among self-interested parties. Firms experience agency costs, and IT can reduce agency costs, making it possible for firms to grow. So what are some of the effects of IT have on it? Well, IT can help flatten an organization. Decision making is pushed to the lower levels. Basically, they have more information that used to only reside up at the top. Excuse me. Fewer managers are needed because we have the decision-making processes pushed down. As I said, we have more of that. So these are some of the things that IT really makes a big change in. Let's see what else. The internet and organization. How has the internet impacted the organizations? Well, we know the impact the internet has had on our individuals, but how many times do you go out to a store or you want to go shopping? You look at the internet website before you go to see where your best buy is going to be. What are you going to be looking at? What are you going to be want to buy? Where can I get it cheaper or more convenient? So the internet has definitely changed how organizations have updated it. So what does the information technology or information systems have to do with anything? Well, it's basically a planning system. We have our environment, we have our structure, our culture and policies, types of organizations, the different leadership that comes into play, tasks, decisions. All this is housed in computer systems now today. It allows us to have everything that we need when we need it. We're going to look at Porter's competitive forces, right? Probably learned about this in your basic management class. But there's basically the 5 competitive forces that help shape the firm. Traditional competitors, look at Coke and Pepsi. Walmart, you can look at Sears, Target, they were competitors. New market entries. The best one that comes to my head, you have the smartphone. When that came in, what did that do? But look at Tesla. What is Tesla doing to the auto industry? Substitute products. We have customers and suppliers. These all affect how our firm operates. And without knowing what these are, it has issues with our company. So we need to understand what these 5 forces do for us. So what is the traditional competitor? All firms share market space with competitors who continually change the product. New entry. Some industries have a high barrier. Some have low barrier. We can look at that. Substitute products. If you can use something cheaper, why not? iTunes substitutes for CDs, right? When was the last time you burned a CD? We don't do that anymore because there's no need to. Can customers switch what we're buying? Sure. The customer has a big impact on what we're going to be doing. And suppliers. Market power of suppliers when firms cannot raise prices fast enough. So how do we deal with these? There's 4 generic strategies that we need to think about. Low-cost leadership, product differentiation, focus on a niche market, and strengthen customer intimacy. So what is low-cost leadership? Products produced and services at a lower cost than competitors. Isn't that what Walmart is built on? You can always get it cheaper at Walmart. Product differentiation. Well, look at all the different products. When you look at Nike and Apple, they don't just say this is our product. They say that we've made this product. It's different than anything else that you would want. And that's what makes that. And you have mass customization, so we can customize what it is. Focus on a niche market. Instead of trying to sell to everyone, just sell to a very small number of people. We can look at Tesla. They didn't want to sell to the masses. They wanted to sell to the upper class to get the car manufacturer going. They charged a high price. People are willing to pay for it to have the latest and greatest technology. Customer intimacy. These are, if you look at what Amazon does for customers, you have your smart, when you go on Amazon, they make recommendations on what you want to buy. You can also get those little, when you go to the grocery store, how do we keep you coming back? The little tokens you get, you swipe it in, they know what you're buying and all that. They want their customers to be happy, because if a customer's happy, they don't leave. So, the internet impact on competitive advantage. Well, it's made so, if you think about a couple companies, industries, travel agencies was decimated by the internet. That was one of the first industries that really got affected big time. Encyclopedia. No longer, when I grew up, we had a set of encyclopedias from A to Z on our bookshelf. We had to do research. That's where we went. Now we do everything right online. Newspapers are going away. Magazines are changing. All this has an impact on how we look at the industries and how everything internet is changing how we do business. Smart products, the Internet of Things. You can log in now on your smartphone while you're at the grocery store, turn the camera on your refrigerator, see what you need to buy. Internet of Things is the internet is connected to everything. Your doorbell, right? You see it on all the time. Your your nanny cam, or whatever the case may be. Smart equipment, Pelodrome. You can work out with an instructor 100 miles, 1,000 miles, even in a different country if you wanted to. So what is it doing for us? It helps us to make a better product. So what else are we going to have? How do we add value to it? This is one of the things we want to start looking at. Collection of independent firms using highly synchronized IT adds value to our information. How do we add value? We get our customers, we get everything going. Synergies we're looking at. What is your company's core competency? Activity from which the world-class leaders and understand what's going on. So we want to make sure we have that. Virtual companies. And nowadays we have a lot of these different things. Uses networks to allow ally with other companies, creates and distributes products without being limited to traditional sales. So, companies are merging with their strong points. The challenges based, sustained, competitive, aligning IT businesses. One of the things that we have to think about from an IT point of view, how do we align it with the business objectives? Are what we put in place going to support the business now and in the future? What about growth? These are some of the things that we need to be asking about. All right, that was the lecture for Chapter 3. Remember, have a good day and to smile. Thank you.